Greetings and salutations, this is Imperator Vespasian and his other trusty sidekick.
Hello.
Today we're looking at Vladimir II of Denmark, the King of Denmark. A medieval king who did what most medieval kings do, rode around a lot killing people.
You can tell by a man that's under him.
Yeah, that's him trampling a Saaremaa to death.
Not very nice, is it?
Yeah, that's not very nice.
No.
But
I don't think he was a nice man.
The Saaremaa were filthy heathens though, so they had it coming.
It's not very nice.
I mean, technically, if you're killed by a Holy Order Knight, you go instantly to heaven.
Really?
Yeah, but this guy wasn't a Holy Order Knight.
Oh.
So I'm
Well,
not
that
really sure.
technically means he's not going to
But they
heaven.
were on Crusades, so I'm not sure if that's like special compensation for...
That means you might get to limbo.
I don't think they really cared as long as they just stopped being alive.
Yeah, by looks of that, I think that will...
Yeah.
Yeah.
The figure is modelled with a trampled Samagolian on the floor. I know we're fighting in Saaremaa, which means technically now it would be an Assalian, but you know, it could be either a Samagolian or an Assalian, or even a Samagolian. It's up to you. Just it can be anything you want it to be.
It's alright, I won't remember what they're called after.
Yeah, it doesn't really care. So there's a chap being trampled. It's quite a nice one I've done. You can see he's got a broken sword. And just focus it, yeah. You can see he's got a broken sword just there and he's still fighting, still trying to stab up at his attacker. And he's doing a pretty good job of defending himself, apart from the fact he's been trampled to death by a horse.
Not really then, is it?
No, actually it's not.
Technically.
It's not a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the fact is he did try and take on a king.
Pretty stupid thing to do, but, you know, I suppose there's nothing else left to do.
Well no, but if you can kill the king, the war's over.
There you go then. So,
Yeah,
I mean, he's got...
Feudalistic system. Cut the head off the chicken doesn't exactly wither and die, it goes off to find a new head. And then it tends to fight among itself while it's trying to find a new head.
around for a while.
Yeah, oh yeah, it'll trample its way home and burn most of France if you're the King of England. Or the army from the dead King of England. But, you know. Anyhow, the figure is just a standard cavalryman and I have modified him with a bishop's mitre on the top. Which is actually made from the flag that you get in the kit of a trumpeter. So it's the cloth that hangs underneath the trumpet. I just cut it off and stuck it on the top of the helmet to make it look like a bishop's hat, so of the period. So that's quite cool. He's in his royal colours. The lions are his colour, and he has a lion shield on his horse as well, just so you know who he is. And the rest is the colours of Denmark, including the colours of Denmark on his shield. So yeah, that's quite cool.
Yeah, it is.
The figure is, as I said, just a standard figure from the box, the Knight's box. I think it's one of the Holy Order Knights boxes, isn't it? It might be the Templar box I got the figure out of.
Yeah, it might be.
And the foot version of him, this is him dismounted. This is the dismounted version here. This is exactly the same but from the Foot Knight box. Nice yellow cloak as well, covered in mud. And his axe is also quite heavily splattered with mud as well.
Mud or blood?
Blood, sorry, the axe is covered in blood. Yeah. Yeah.
Just point that out.
Yeah, I don't want to be too picky over it.
Okay.
But that's the guy in question. Vladimir himself, he became king when he was, I think he was about 11, I think. So someone else had to rule in his name, a bishop ruled in his name, who was also called Vladimir, who tried to usurp the throne.
Okay.
Yeah, so Canute the 4th, I think, or the 6th.
What's her name, Canute?
Yeah, Canute who was the king at the time, ordered the bishop to come and see him when he found out what had happened, and the bishop very wisely fled across the sea to Norway. Very wise of him. He then stupidly tried to invade Denmark.
Stupidly.
With 150 ships, and lost, and was taken prisoner and put in a tower.
How did that happen?
Well, you just get a tower and you put a man in it and lock
not
the
the
door.
tower bit, when he had so many ships.
Because the King Canute had an army.
Wow.
The other Vladimir, the bishop, he had a army of a handful of. I mean, in fact, like one Danish noble backed him, a handful of German nobles, who were just Germans, and a several shiploads of Norwegians.
Oh, okay.
And the last thing you want invading your country is Norwegians, but in this case they were working for money. And, well, let's just say Canute had more cash. So the campaign went the other way.
Money wins.
Yeah, and so Canute won, and he was put in prison. Canute then died, early age actually, he was quite young when he died, leading only Vladimir to succeed him. So Vladimir became king. The bishop tried all sorts of things to get back into the game. Eventually, I think, from the top of my head, he actually spent most of his life in prison. He was let out in the end because he was dying of plague.
Yeah.
So he was allowed to buy his own freedom.
Yeah.
While his arms fell off. And
Yeah. Let him his arms fall off somewhere else.
Yeah, and so Vladimir became king, and as soon as he became king, he tried to retake the territories that Canute had lost, that had rebelled against him. So he attacked the Danes, and the Norwegians. He was Danish. He attacked the Norwegians to sort of get his own back there. And then there was a rebellion in Germany, Schwalberg, or whatever you call it, the northern part of Germany between modern day Prussia. It's modern day Poland and Prussia, what used to be the Wendel lands.
I won't be able to pronounce it anywhere. So.
Yeah, I can't either. And those lands rebelled against him. One of the counts, who was the Lord Commander of Canute, tried to seize power. Vladimir used a private army, his own private soldiers, to end the rebellion, thereby saving a huge load of tax. That guy then got put in the same cell as the bishop.
Right.
So he was making friends.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
as making friends and influencing people.
Yeah. Nice socialising.
Yeah, that's how you did it back then.
Sounds like,
Yeah. If Twitter would have existed back then, they'd have just sent harsh comments to each other and eventually blocked each other. But in those days, you rode up to the guy's castle and cut his head off with an axe.
Pleasant.
Or put him in a tower. So yeah, Vladimir had a lot of battles during his career. He's known as Vladimir the Conqueror, or Vladimir the Winner, is roughly translated. And not really very accurate, because by the time Vladimir died, Denmark had lost its holds in Britain, its holds on southern Sweden, so it lost Sweden. It had lost Norway, it had lost the Gotland, which is a big island in the middle of the Baltic, very strategically important, and it had lost the whole of Germany and its Wendel holdings and its landings in Estonia.
Okay.
So basically, the modern country of Denmark is all they had left at the end.
Yeah.
And they call him the Conqueror. Really bad name for a king. It's just like, should have called him the he had a go king.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't that good. But he did create the modern state of Denmark. Because he created the legal system, or allowed the legal system to be created. And when he became king, if you were accused of a crime, you were still entitled to trial by sword.
Oh, okay.
Which is a very interesting system where if someone accuses you of a crime, then you can challenge the person to a close combat, and then you hire a really good knight to kill him for you.
So you go head to head in a duel.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It is, who can afford the best knight, really?
Yeah, that's
Because you didn't have to do it yourself, you hired someone to do it for you.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Although Vladimir would be perfectly happy to do it himself. He wasn't afraid of getting in there and hitting people.
No.
So during Vladimir's reign, the Livonian Brothers of the Sword were fighting their way through Estonia and Lithuania, Latvia, sorry. And they came unstuck and got massacred. It was really embarrassing, actually, how they died. They didn't want to. No sensible person crusades during winter.
No.
So
I get that.
in the Eastern Crusades, you only fought for 3 months of the year, and then you sat in a tower and waited until summer, right?
Okay.
Because the roads are impassable because they turned to mud.
Yeah.
Ask the Germans. Hitler knew all about this, or he learnt. The roads turned to mud, just like Napoleon found as well. It snows, it's cold, it's horrible, and the natives speak foreign. So you really don't want to be out there in winter, it's horrible. So what you tend to do is you go out there, you crusade for 3 months, burn a couple of villages, persuade a couple of other villagers to turn to Christianity, and then you build a tower and sit in it for the 9 month period.
Right. That was
Okay.
really boring.
Yeah, but a lot of people volunteered to go because it was easy work.
Oh yeah.
Because you didn't do any fighting during winter.
No. I suppose it makes sense.
And right in the last 2 weeks before winter, a bunch of Danish soldiers turned up. His guys, it's his fault. Obviously he wasn't invading anyone at the time, he didn't have any Germans to kill,
Right.
so they decided to go crusading, but you used to go crusading holidays.
Yeah.
So you were
You used to have
actually...
a holiday going
Yeah, you just
crusading.
go on the crusade for a few months, and then
Okay.
come back and all your sins were absolved. And so these Danes turned up and said, "Hi, can we go crusading?" And the Livonian knights are sort of, "No, it's dangerous. We
Yeah.
don't. It's going to snow, and I don't like any food. And bread tastes horrible here, and they only drink vodka." And they said, "No, please let us go." And so he let them go. And so the Livonian knights took them out on. They burnt 2 villages, sacked another village, and then went home. That's all they did. They weren't doing anything useful.
No.
They were just going there to kill heathens, basically. Most of whom were actually Christian, but we'll get into that later. And Orthodox Christian, not proper Christians. 'Cause these guys are Catholics,
Yeah.
and they don't get along with the Orthodox Christians.
No,
'cause
they don't.
they're foreign.
Yeah. Conflict going on there.
It's all to do with the fall of Constantinople.
Yeah.
Because during the Constantinople Civil War, one side backed one king and one side backed the other king. One became emperor, and the losers got all sore about it and broke away from the Roman Catholics because the Pope recognised him as emperor.
Yeah.
So that's the birth of... that's the simple version of how the split happened.
Yeah.
So the Livonian brothers got massacred. There were only 40 of them, or 46 of them, and 43 of them got killed, which was awful. So it wiped out half the order, not including the order that weren't there at the battle.
Oh, okay.
And the Livonian brothers called out across Christendom for help, and the Danes went, "Oh, I'm not doing anything this year," and they helped go and fight the battle. And I explained in the last video how the flag was during that battle.
Yeah. That's a good one.
That's how the flag was created.
Yeah, that's
It
clever.
fell from the sky. God dropped a blood-covered flag from the sky, and that's where the flag came from.
Yeah.
So that unfortunately cost a huge amount of money. The crusadings that Vladimir had to do was very expensive. Now, this was made worse by his Saaremaa campaign. There was an island off the coast. If you've been paying any attention to our channel, you will notice we'll be doing a campaign on the island of Saaremaa. And Saaremaa was a pirate island of pirates, basically. The Livonians called them pirates, as their name. And they used to raid shipping all around the Baltic. And given that most of the shipping was either Danish or Swedish, it annoyed the Danes and the Swedes. So the Danes decided, they were the first to decide to annex the island. They utterly failed. They got defeated. I'm not sure if they're going to fail this time. We're fighting the campaign at the moment, and they seem to be doing all right. They've got a foothold on my island, and I'm quite annoyed. But the Danes failed, and so they went away, and it cost them a huge amount of money because a lot of knights got killed. The boats were lost. It just didn't do the Danish economy any good. And at this point, the southern part of Sweden broke away, and then the Danes had to send more troops to fight the Swedes. And this is before the Gotland Civil War, so there was a huge mess. Vladimir kept having to raise taxes. The locals got annoyed and rebelled, so he then had to suppress the rebellions. And at this point, the Germans, being sneaky, you know what Germans are like. I don't see what Merkel's up to. So the Germans did a Merkel and said, right, what we're going to do is we're going to stab the Danes in the back and we're going to break away from them. And they launched a rebellion. The rebellion was suppressed, but again it meant now Vladimir had to deploy more Danish troops to the German territories to keep control of them, so I didn't have enough troops for the rest of his small empire. And then Vladimir was on a hunting expedition and was captured. He was taken prisoner along with his son by one of the German dukes. And he was forced at knife point to swear an oath on the Bible that he would give all the German lands to the Germans. And so he did the right thing. He signed it, got back, wrote a letter to the Pope, said, dude, he made me swear on the Bible, but I had my fingers crossed on everything. And Pope Honorius the Third, I think, said, oh, well, we can't have that. Go and get a crusade against the Germans. And so Vladimir attacked the German states. However, the German states had just had a whiff of freedom. They were no longer having to pay massive amounts of tax to maintain the Danish army. And they fought back. And it was a real mess. The Knight Commander, who we'll do another video on, he died during that campaign. And Vladimir had to sign a treaty with them but basically Germany broke away from Denmark, which was unpleasant.
Yeah, sounds it.
Yeah. But that's way too much information for a plastic figure.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I do go on a bit. Or is it me or you that goes on too much?
No, it was you asking those questions. I had to answer. Not my fault.
I say I'm not asking any more.
Do you have any questions?
No, I think I've asked enough.
Right. I guess that's the end of the video.
Yeah.
Hey, look, if you want to find anything else out, buy the Northern Crusades, it's Northernburg, or there's always Google.
Google?
There's lots of stuff on there.
If you like Google, you could always go on Google.
Yeah, they have joined writing and stuff. I don't use Google. I don't actually use Google. I use DuckDuckGo.
Yeah, I know you do. It's very strange.
Yeah, it's better than Google.
Better than Bing, I suppose.
If you want to know my issue with Google, type in American inventors and see what you get.
Yeah, and that's enough said on that.
And that's all I'm saying about it. Right, because I love inventors in America. I think it's a brilliant subject. I think American inventors are awesome. And, Edison and all those chaps.
Yeah.
Apparently don't count. So I'm going to go now because I've said too much. This has been Imperator Vespasian. Thank you very much for joining us, my dear.
Yes, you're welcome.
And
I don't have a name yet, other than I suppose.
we were Disciplina before.
Other half of you.
No, you were Disciplina before. See, I'm named after Vespasian, who was the man who secured Western civilization for the West. Created Western civilization basically. Yeah. He saved the Roman Empire, at least for 300 years. And you're named after an actual god.
I was.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I want to stay with that name. I just have wife. That is just 4 syllables, it works.
Okay, so thank you very much for watching and goodbye.
Bye.